Here we go. This will be it.
Okay.
So, hello everyone, and welcome to this episode of Campervan Confessions. And we're really excited in this episode because we're going to bring someone that we've actually followed for a long time on Instagram, who we would actually regard as a very good friend of ours, despite the fact that we've never actually met in reality. We have sort of like supported each other, both accounts, through sort of the internet, through Instagram. And basically the person that we're going to introduce you to today is called Ange Alex, and she is a very, very amazing person. She's multi-talented. She's an internationally published model. She's a photographer. She's an author. She's a master yogi, and pretty much loads of other things as well. So welcome.
She's a mother.
She's a mother as well.
Yeah.
So, and she's someone who's into van life and a whole host of things. And we've only got like a real limited time because typically with Anne, she's very busy. She's going to be going teaching a yoga class after this interview. So firstly, welcome, Ange, and thank you for joining us on Campervan Confessions.
Thank you, Ange. It's a pleasure.
Thank
to have
you so
here.
much. Thank you for the great introduction. And I will have to agree, definitely. You guys have, I think it's been like 2 years we've been friends, and it's so great to follow each other's journeys and support each other. And I'm thankful for having found you guys on that wonderful wide web, right?
Yeah, no, it's amazing.
That is so true. And like one of the things that we'd really like to do is to come to America, and certainly, seeing you is very high on the agenda for when
teach us some yoga.
That gives me chills. That's so sweet. I can't wait. I'd love it. We would have a blast. We would definitely.
Totally. And so first of all, then we've just sort of seen off camera or off air just now your amazing RV.
Yeah.
And I know that Artemis III, isn't it? So do you want to, or if you would, just tell us a little bit about how you got into that whole life and what happened with Artemis 1 and 2 maybe as well.
Yes. Well, it's like I always tell people, because I don't take it for granted. I know I'm living most people's dreams. Like most people dream of having the ability to pack up and leave whenever they want, or to, here in the States for sure, it's like when you retire, you buy an RV and you travel the world. And I always knew that, but I've always fought against who I really was. So I would always try to fit into these boxes that I thought I was supposed to fit into and be a person that I was supposed to be. So I lived my life like that. I had the house, I had the cars, I had the kids, I had the businesses. And the more and more and more I got into that in this quote unquote level of success, the more I felt like a caged animal, like that white picket fence that I was supposed to dream about was actually a cage and not something that made me feel good. And so I started, it was about 7 years ago. A little more than 7 actually, because this is our 7th year. But about 7.5 years ago, I started thinking about traveling and how I wanted to see so many things in the States with my kids. They were young at the time, they're teenagers now, but and it was like disheartening to me because I realized that I was spending so much money on this house payment, all the bills that went into the house, and what just goes into having 3 kids anyways. And I realized that like the ability to travel was pretty limited. I had these businesses that I had to be there for. So it was like crushed, my dreams of travel was like, oh, I just was like everybody else. Like, I guess when I'm old, I'll do it. And then I started thinking about it. Well, why? Like, why can't I do it now?
Yeah.
And so then I started figuring out, wait a second, if, people in their 70s buy an RV and they live in it, why can't I? Why can't we? And so I started researching it, and I was like, wow, we're going to have, we had like a 2,500 square foot house. It was huge, like a half an acre. And I was like, well, we're going to have to pare down quite a bit. We're going to definitely become minimalist if this is the life that, there's a lot of shit. And with 3 kids, holy crap, the toys they had. So I was like, okay, the kind of person I am is once I get something in my mind, if I really get it in my mind, it's trouble. It's problematic for people.
I'm like
because,
that.
yeah, because I will do it. Like there is no stopping it. Once it's there, the seed is planted, it starts to grow, and I will stop at nothing until it manifests. And so that's kind of how it was. It was like a bit of an obsession. I was like, oh, I want to get it. I want to travel. I want to be in an RV. I want to do this. So we were like looking around, and we had a budget. It was like, well, here's a budget. If you can pay cash for an RV, if you can find an RV, pay cash for it, then we'll do it. So it was like almost like the odds were stacked against me. I mean, RVs are expensive here in the States. I don't know. I don't know about.
Same here.
Well, since COVID, they've gone up a lot everywhere.
Oh yeah, because people really embrace the van life and RV life.
Yeah. Puppies and camper vans.
Because obviously people couldn't go on vacation or anything, so they were allowed to do trips internally within the country. So there was like a mass movement in the UK where people were just buying camper vans.
Same here. And
nothing like yours, I might add. You know, it's like
small
having your RV here, which just wouldn't work. You couldn't get around the streets.
We actually looked at that too, because before COVID, we were going to fly to Germany and rent a RV there for a month, over a month, because you wouldn't have to pay the VAT tax if you did it that way. And they were all small. Like looking at the ones in the inventory, it was like, how is this gonna work?
People had all the kind of,
because we were used to it. Like the first RV we found, Artemis, was a 30-foot Class C RV. So it was the one that had like the truck, but the above it, and then it went back like 30 feet. Wow. So the one I have now that you just saw is a Class A. It's like a big bus. But the Class C is a little bit different. And I found one that somebody had traded in for a new one, and it had very, very low mileage. I didn't know really what I was doing at the time. So now I'm like a bit of an expert at it. But at the time I was like, looks good to me. And I bought, like, I talked the guy down and everything. I was like, dude, I have to have this. I'll like promote you, blah, blah, blah. Cause at the time I owned a magazine in Atlanta anyway. So I was like, I can help you, you help me. Let's do this deal. And so I talked him down. He gave me that RV for $5,000.
Wow.
And yeah, it was insane. So we shredded everything in there, took everything out, gutted it, put new flooring in, painted, all that, and really got it looking good. But of course, you know, I didn't know what I was looking for. So there was severe water damage above the cab, and I had to have that fixed. That cost me about $2,000. So that was unfortunate, but a learning lesson. And then we set out on the road. We hit the road that January, went to Florida, and then circled the US, the entire US. We went around, we hit all the major national parks. It was like a dream come true for me. And I can't express enough like the power of living your dream, because it keeps you in that momentum. It keeps that inertia going, and you're just full speed ahead at that point. You can literally have anything you want at that point. So yeah, we did it, and it was so amazing with my kids. My youngest, he was he was only 8 at the time.
Wow.
So when he was packing up his toys, I tell this story a lot. So anybody that's heard any of my other interviews, they've probably heard this, but it's just one of my favorite stories. It really is. Like, he was 8, he loved Legos, loved them. So he had little tables that we made specially for him, and he had these intricate Lego towns set up at all times. Like, we're talking a whole room length of Lego table and a town. And we would decorate for Halloween, we decorate for Christmas. He just loved it. And I remember him sitting there looking at it, knowing that he had to put it away. And I was like, hey buddy, you sure you're okay with you know, storing these Legos at grandma's house, because we can't bring them with us? And he was like, so if I put these away, that means I get to spend more time with you. And I was like, yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'll be together out there in the world. And he was like, all right, let's pack them. And that just meant everything to me, because it really tells you, like, your kids don't want your shit. They want you. And I was so fortunate to have that ability to spend this quality time with them and do these things that meant so much to me. that they were there for, you know, like the first time I saw the Badlands or Sedona or the Devil's Tower or any of these other like really amazing places, I got to experience it with my children, and it was just beautiful. So after a year of Artemis 1, I kind of felt that like pinch of, oh no, I'm not normal. Shouldn't I be normal? And I went back to Atlanta and I tried to kind of fit back into normal life. And it didn't take me long before I realized I was not normal. And yeah, I would never be normal. And my friend who I had worked with, she had told me, you know, Angie, people are different, you know, like you were made to be this person that you think you were made to be. You were made to be this free floating wanderer out there who gets to experience these things. And as soon as I heard it from someone else, I was like, oh, like permission granted to be a weirdo, you know?
You need that, don't you? You need someone to just reassure you that what you're doing isn't
you do, even though you know it yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I just needed her to tell me, look, everybody knows you're a fucking weirdo. just be it. Just be
Sometimes
you.
It takes years to realize that, doesn't it? Like I'm
oh yeah. I mean, I was almost 40 anyways at the time, so it was like this whole, you know, coming to like who I really am moment.
It's a big milestone.
So I had sold the first Artemis for more than I paid for it. So I actually lived that whole year basically for free. I made money off of it. And then I bought another one, Artemis 2, which was it was a little bit smaller, but it was newer and it was amazing. And I just like the universe connected me to this lady that was selling it. She had bought it. Her husband died and their dream was to travel the country together. So she bought this brand new RV and did it in his honor for 2 years, which just like gives me chills, makes me want to cry. It's so sweet. She did this like beautiful, I guess honoring him, you know, and in this journey that he didn't get to take with her physically. Obviously, I'm assuming he was there with her spiritually, but so she just was like done. She wanted to hang out with her grandkids, and she said, I just wanted to go to somebody who's going to use it. And I was like, well, I'm gonna use it. I'll probably use it more than anybody, you know. So she said I don't even know what it's worth, but do you got $4,000? And I was like, I knew what it was worth. It was worth like $30,000, and that lady gave it to me for $4,000.
Amazing. Well, obviously realized you were meant to have
absolutely. It was so meant to be, and I used that RV for, gosh, I think 3 years. That's the one I drove to Alaska. So we left Florida and drove all the way to Alaska for my 40th birthday. And that was the RV. Never gave us a problem, never, because she kept it in like tip top condition. It was beautiful. And then I sold that for obviously more than I paid for it. And then I bought this one, and this one I got a killer deal on it too, from some older person who was not going to travel anymore. And we gutted the entire thing. I'll send you guys some pictures of it because we gutted the whole thing. So it's 37 feet long. It's got a slide out. So the living area and the kitchen ends up being about 14 feet wide, as opposed to a regular 8 feet when the slide out is in.
It's one of those ones that comes out the width.
I've seen those. We don't really have those in the UK as much, apart from in the sort of traveller community, sort of settled travellers, because we've got, I mean, my village that I live in, it's so tiny, you would not get it down the high street. You would get stuck. You'd get stuck
that's what I heard.
The post office and the shop.
That's what I've heard. There's places up in like New York that are not like, I would never take this thing. I did it in the first year in the 30 foot, and we were lucky we got pulled over by a cop because he was like, you can't be on this road. You're gonna lose the roof. Get off. And it was like, I was so grateful that he told me, because I would have lost the RV for sure. But there are places like that. You just have to, like here in the States, you just have to know where you can go. There's a lot of apps to use, like Flat Route, if you want to take the flattest route, if you don't want to go over mountains. And like let's see, there was another one I was going to mention and I forgot it right now, but at any rate, this one I've had for almost 4 years now, and or I think it's 4 years in November, but we gutted the whole thing. It looks like an apartment. It's got beautiful flooring and we painted it. We have a custom table in there because it acts as, you know, numerous things, obviously. And the whole back room is a custom built bunkhouse for my teenagers now. And they have enough room for a big table with all of their computers. They're big gamers. So that's like a necessity for us is Wi-Fi. And
definitely.
So do you have your own hookup in the van for Wi-Fi?
Yeah, we do. We do. And we've it's come and gone over the last 7 years, because when I first started, there were these Verizon grandfathered in Verizon plans where you really did get unlimited Wi-Fi. And it was expensive. It was about $200 a month, but you had unlimited Wi-Fi. And then, you know, Verizon and all the other providers wised up to that and said, no, you guys are using a lot of data. So, yeah, so we still do, and it's not as important right now to my kids. They're older. They're 19, 17, and almost 16. So funny enough, you would think it would be really important, but it's such a beautiful journey because they've been on this journey for 7 years, and
they've grown up with that life, haven't they?
Yeah.
So
they've grown up with this life, and they said to me,
taught them. You've kind of like you've you know, because I suppose if I think about a lot of children, particularly at that age, you can go to like the most amazing places visually with, you know, particularly with, you know, if you're talking someone who's in the run-of-the-mill residential existence in a house and whatever, and you take them to an amazing place, it's like you can look around when you're at these places, because mostly I'm at these places now just appreciating it myself. My children are older, and but you see people are just attached to a screen, you know, and it's like,
oh yeah, they don't even care.
No.
Yeah. Adults as well.
Adults,
really.
Oh God,
doing that, you know, and as well as the children. So I think sort of the fact that you've kind of introduced that lifestyle to your children has meant that they've naturally just gone away from that kind of thing.
Yeah,
they have. I'm so grateful. Like, I really, honestly, I can't express it enough, because, and I told them, you know, what I did for your guys' life is a blessing and a curse, because you've had this amazing life, and you've expanded your consciousness and your empathy for people, your compassion for people, because you've seen the way people live their lives all over North America. And that's a blessing and a curse, because a lot of people will not be able to relate to you, and you will not be able to relate to a lot of people, because the standard thing for a 16-year-old is school and boyfriend girlfriend crap, and how do I look on Instagram and whatever, you know. And my kids don't give a shit about that. They don't. They're not even on social media. Funny enough, I am, but they're not.
The real world rather than living in a kind of bubble.
Oh, they don't care. And they said to me, this is when I knew that I did a really good job as a mom, and I patted myself on the back, was when this year they said to me, hey Mom, do you think we can go to New York for Christmas time and see the tree? I know you've always wanted to see the big Christmas tree. Do you think we can do it this year? And I was like, I don't know. We're in California. And they said, well, we don't want anything for Christmas. We don't need any presents. We have everything we need. So that would be, they said, I'd rather have an experience than the thing. And I was like, I did it.
Well done.
That is a pat on your back. Well done.
It took me like 40 years to get that mentality. So now they've got it.
Where you're like,
I'm so excited by it.
That's such amazing. I mean, I think sort of we could go on forever to talk about
for sure.
I want to ask you one more question just about van life before we move on to other areas. Sort of like what is your yearly schedule? What does it look like as far as the vans?
It's been different the last few years with COVID, but in the beginning we pretty much did the same thing every year. We would be in Florida for the winter, so like late December into early March we'd be in Florida. You know, it's like 70 to 80 degrees still, on the beach having fun, and then before it got too hot we would start heading west. So we would go like through the Panhandle, New Orleans. I think I did that trip when we first met. So I was like in New Orleans.
So you sort of documented it really well. So
I was in Texas. I love visiting Texas before it gets hot. Arizona, I love like Tombstone, the Old West. Like I just dig that so much. And Sedona is like magical. There's like so much energy and vortexes and hiking, and it's like the whole community there is so immersive in yoga and other healing modalities that it's just a pleasure to be there. So I'd always hit Sedona, and then I'd always spend the summer here where I'm at in Northern California, and then make our way like up and over all the way across the US and end like in the Northeast for fall, and really see the fall weather, and then back to Atlanta usually for Christmas because my family's still there. So I like to see them when I can, my friends. So that was usually how it went. But then COVID came, and it changed everything. It was so hard to travel. It was hard to know that you were going to be in a place that it had food or toilet paper or whatever the hell else was going on.
Gosh,
and so we kind of
stay in one place, was it?
It was, and we found that unfortunately it was Florida, and it was really hot in the summer there for us, but really it was the place that we knew was pretty much wide open. A lot of the other states were still grasping at what is this and how do we handle this, and Florida was always like, who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? And I'm sure they're still like that, but it's kind of my mentality. So it was like a pretty good fit. But I think now I'm kind of just chilling. I'm doing a lot of writing and a lot of yoga. So I'm here probably for a couple more months. I'm still digging it. Usually I'll get if I get cabin fever and I want to leave, I'll just leave, or I'll follow the weather depending on what's going to be happening. But I've been really happy here. It's been beautiful, and I really get so much out of my yoga classes here that I'm just gonna suck it up and enjoy it, and try to feel everything I can feel while I'm here,
Sounds like you're really suited to the place at the moment. And then
for sure. I don't change. I always change my mind. I'm forever changing,
I think that's the best way to be, isn't it?
So, well, I've kind of monopolized questions. Would you?
I was going to say to you actually, since knowing you, online, I've got such amazing positive vibes from you, and you really inspire me. Just such a happy, positive person. And right now in the UK, things are quite bleak. There's really bad politics going on. I won't go into details.
Same here. Yeah,
I think everywhere really. But there's a lot of cost of living crisis in the UK. Everybody's quite depressed and worried about things like energy bills, and generally people are quite down. And I was going to say to you, a lot of our listeners are from the UK. What would be your advice about staying positive? How do you stay so positive and upbeat?
I think a lot of it has to do with my belief system. I don't know 100% for sure that there's anything after when we die. Nobody can say that. Nobody can. Yeah. But what I believe is that I am the creator experiencing my creation. So I believe that the universe is source energy, and we are all energy, and we're experiencing ourselves, rediscovering ourselves, having these expansive experiences that just expands the universe in general. And therefore, I also believe that this is this is just a game. It's just a ride. It's just meant to be enjoyed. And if you unfortunately don't figure that out in your lifetime and you live a life of struggle, it's still valuable because the universe exists in balance. But at the same time, wouldn't it be better to just have fun instead and not take it so seriously? Because you are going to die. You're not going to leave and transition somewhere else. You're going to die, and you're not going to take any of your shit with you. You don't even know what happens after. So what a waste it is to not live every moment feeling what you want to feel. And I think that's the problem, is nobody ever grows up believing that that this is your journey, and this is for you. You're valuable. You are the creator. You are a limitless being of pure love. So go out there, find what sets you on fire, feed your passions, find what feels good to you, and don't worry about anybody else, because in the doing really, that's the hard thing for people to grasp.
Don't about that.
Don't worry about anybody else. It's that's their job to figure out their life, and furthermore, you have no power over them anyway. So all you can do is do you. And if you are doing you in alignment with yourself and feeling as good as you can feel, then you are going to be a light in the world that everybody will look at and say, oh my God, I want that light too. And you know, I say, no, like, don't walk my path. Don't walk my path. My path is my path, but my light can shine some light on your path, and you can find your way back to yourself.
I can see that. I was going to say, it's like you're sort of describing that kind of saying that be the lighthouse, not the towboat. So people go towards the beacon rather than following behind and getting the help.
And you can't help anybody. I've learned this the hard way, because I'm a healer. I want to heal people. I've had so many experiences in my life, from deep tragedies to amazing highs, and I want to help people. I want to share that with people. I want to let them understand what I've learned. And I learned the hard way. You can't help anybody. You actually cannot help anybody. All you can do, the very best thing you can do, is live your life in such a way that they feel inspired to live their life the way they want to.
That's what you do radiate to me, I feel.
Oh, good.
The same to your pupils, your yoga pupils. I'm sure that's why you're so in demand in the town.
Oh yeah. You know, it's like, yoga for me is a journey that's, since my 40s, really. I just thought it was like a workout, when I was younger. It was like, oh, I'm going to go sweat it out and work out. But really, it's like a connection to myself, to my inner being. And it's the time I get to honor myself and love myself and respect myself, that it's this magic moment that happens when I'm in a class with other people, that I'm leading into this deep appreciation of themselves. It's like, it's pure magic. It's co-creating with the universe at its best. And I leave there, like, you would think the amount of yoga classes I teach, I would be exhausted, but I leave there higher than I've ever been in my life. Just floating out of there. Just like, it just goes to show you that there's an endless supply of love, an endless supply of energy coming to you. It's us that choke it off. We say we're not worthy, or I can't be loved, or this or that. We're the ones that, like, if it's a hose, we're the ones that kink up that hose and stop allowing that love to flow to us. Wow, but if you let it flow to you and flow out of you, you're never going to be depleted, ever, ever, ever. You're always going to be refreshed, always.
That's amazing. Of your ethos, really. That's inspiring.
Yeah. And it totally covers the questions that I had to do with your spirituality. I mean, I'm looking at, we haven't actually upgraded our Zoom, so I'm seeing that from this point, we've got 6 minutes left on this interview.
Oh, I had another question.
I know, but you got it. I'm just letting everyone know that we've only got 6 minutes, because we got this time to do, you see. I suppose, like, the thing about yoga, that obviously yoga it's a tremendously hard practice. It's sort of like, I forget who said it, but I know that there's a quote that says that yoga is kind of like a martial arts that people do on themselves. And I think that's a really good sort of way of looking at it. It is, because it's sort of like, I've done it, not as obviously as much as you, but it's sort of like, oh my god, I can't do this. I'm like, it's such a challenge. And then you have to, with yoga, I think you have to get into a position where you're just literally focusing on your breath, which is of course meditation, isn't it? So and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I can't do it. And then all of a sudden you click into a different mindset where it's like, oh, I'm doing this. And actually it feels good. And then like meditation, about 30 seconds after, you have, oh no, this really hurts. This hurts. And you're like, breathe, and so it's kind of like, it's meditation in practice, isn't it? But like, it's almost
that's exactly how I would describe it. That's the best way to describe it. And I tell people that all the time, that people think, when they say, well, you know, you should meditate every day. They think you're, you know, sitting in a quiet place with your, you know, legs folded and your eyes closed and you're going, but you can do that if that works for you. But meditation is actually any time that you are 100% aligned with yourself and aligned with source energy. And I get that in yoga. I get that in exercise. I get that when I go on a walk in the woods. Some people are musicians and they get it when they play guitar.
I can relate to that with when I do my artwork. It's mindfulness, really, isn't it?
It is.
I'm very busy, but I do a lot of, I clean, I do walking, and I do my drawing, and I think that's that mindfulness that helps me focus.
It is. Yes, my daughter's the same way with her
yoga.
art.
I really want to start yoga. So
yes, I tell everybody, you know, this is the beautiful thing about yoga is when I don't recall hearing much about yoga when I was growing up. But as I got a little older, it was like the thing that the 20-something-year-old, you know, who's a size 2, does. And so I was always like, well, that's not me. I'm older. I'm not a size 2. How do I fit into this? And it was through my diving so deep into myself, that I realized it had nothing to do with anything like physically how I looked. It was all about my respect and honor for myself. And so starting slow, I mean, just even starting with a little bit of deep stretching, oh my God, the benefits to your physical body.
We've got 3 minutes left. I can't believe how quickly it's gone.
I know.
Definitely going to have to do this again.
I have to say, because before I was saying to Mel said, how long were you talking? I said, you know, half hour. She was like, half hour, because we did an interview the other day that was like 20 minutes and it went, it was a great interview, but it was over in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And now we're approaching 45 minutes, but we've still got so much more to say.
Well, because we've only got a few minutes left, I do want
Last question.
One thing. If you had any advice for our listeners, what would be your priceless life advice? If you could wrap something up in just a minute.
That's really tricky.
It is.
I would say love yourself. Love yourself. And that's the hardest thing you can do, because you were never taught how to do it. You were never shown that you're important. Everything is always given to you as if something exists outside of you. So as a child, you look to your parents for answers, your teachers, you get a job, you end up looking for your boss. Everybody else is an expert except you. And the opposite is actually true. You are the expert. You're the only person that can be an expert on yourself. And appreciating yourself, forgiving yourself, because I practice Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian forgiveness technique that basically believes that every single thing in your reality is actually a reflection of yourself. So if you come into contact with somebody that is difficult or that hurts your feelings or says something horrible to you, it's actually you. It's you saying it to yourself. You have to say some
stuff about that, because that really
sounds amazing.
Yeah. So then the only person you ever need to forgive is yourself. The only person you ever need to love is yourself. And once you do that and you go through those moments of cleaning and clearing, your reality changes. The people around you change.
Wonderful advice, Ange. I know that you can keep talking for ages with your amazing pearls of wisdom, I'll call them. We're going to have to say goodbye because the time has ticked right down.
I know. I had so much fun.
I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, and it'd actually be really good to do another interview with you in a few
I'm ready whenever.
So
just
we can catch up with the bits that we missed today.
Upgrade Zoom.
Yeah, when we'll
do a part 2.
Yes, but have a great yoga class, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure.
So great to see you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye.